Okay.
Let's see if I can get logged in. No, I always have problems. This keyboard just drives me crazy.
Because you keep putting your thumb on the.
Call this meeting to order. We would like to have Caitlin Davis lead us in the pledge. Caitlin Davis?
Indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody here who is attending here in person and all those who are attending via live stream. The first thing we'd like to do is administer the oath of office to, is that right? Yep. Okay. Administer the oath of office to our very newest trustee, Megan Furness. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
So Renee will.
please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Say aye and state your name.
I, Megan Furness,
Do swear or affirm
do swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Idaho,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Idaho,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Trustee
of the Office of Trustee
of the Pocatello-Chubbuck School District Number 25
of the Pocatello-Chubbuck School District Number 25
in Bannock County, State of Idaho,
in Bannock County, State of Idaho,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you and welcome. All right. Okay, so the first thing on our agenda is to approve or amend the agenda. And so is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board approve the agenda as presented.
I'll
Is there a
second.
All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next thing is the approval of minutes. Is there a motion?
I just have those to roll to June and no action.
Okay, no action. The next thing is the consent agenda. To approve the consent agenda, is there a motion?
Everybody move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You didn't get a second.
I second the motion.
Oh, yeah. I need a little cheat sheet here. The next thing on the agenda is the self-explanatory reports. to approve the self-explanatory reports. Is there a motion?
I move that
That-
the board approve.
That was the self-explanatory reports doesn't
Oh,
need.
we don't have to.
action.
Okay.
It's just in there for
Okay.
information.
Oh,
Thank
thank you, thank you. Next is the recognitions and public comment. The first thing we'd like to do is introduce the new administrators. I'll turn the time over to Dr. Howell, I guess, or no, AJ, to introduce our new administrators. Both of you? Oh,
All right, and then if I could have, they're hiding back there, Crystal, Cynthia, and Scott, please come up here as well. Good evening, board. I'm excited to just do a quick introduction. I know you've been made aware of this, and just want to introduce our new elementary principals that will be starting in their new positions next school year. Go in order, see how they lined up here. Cynthia Lund will be the new principal at Syringa Elementary. She is a current interventionist, and she was also a fourth grade teacher at Chubbuck Elementary. Crystal Lockyer is going to be the new principal at Tendoy Elementary. She is currently the assistant principal at Alameda Middle School, and she also has experience working in elementary school. I want to say at Green Acres. Am I right in saying at Green Acres? She has a lot of experience. And then Scott Eldridge, a current teacher and coach out at Century High School, is going to be the new Ellis Elementary principal. They bring with them a vast array of skills and abilities. We are very excited to have them joining the elementary administrative team and look forward to working very closely with them next year. And just wanted to introduce them and tell them we are looking forward to them finishing up this year, but also starting next year with our team. Thank you.
thank you. The next thing on the agenda is,
We have one more.
okay, one more.
I'd like to introduce you to Molly Johnson. She will be taking over as the assistant principal at Alameda, the one Crystal just left.
Yeah.
Molly comes to us from the special ed world at Pocatello High School, and this is her first year as an admin, and we're really looking forward to getting her broken in.
Yeah.
Molly Johnson?
Next on the agenda is our awards and recognitions.
Good evening, Madam Chair, trustees, Dr. Howell, Ms. Clark, and do we have student representatives here tonight? Welcome to you as well. Tonight, we will be recognizing several individuals who support and embody the district's mission to think more, learn more, and be more together. And first up, we have our May 2024 Learner of the Month, or CAKE, awards. So I'm going to invite Briar Palmer, along with her teacher, Sonia Pixton, up to the podium with me, please. Okay, thank you so much for being here tonight. So Briar is in the first grade, and she was nominated by her teacher, Mrs. Pixton. And in her nomination letter, Mrs. Pixton wrote, "Briar has been a leader in our class since the first day of school. Briar is kind and respectful to everyone. If another learner is struggling with an assignment, she is the first to offer help and give encouragement. If a teacher needs help, she is always willing to help no matter the task. Briar takes on every new learning experience with a positive attitude and is always willing to try hard things. If someone is sad, Briar is the first to ask what is wrong and offer help. Her smile and positive attitude about learning are contagious with other learners. Briar is the person who notices if someone is by themselves and is concerned about them and asks if they would like to join her. The best thing about Briar is that she does all of this from the goodness of her heart. No one asks her to do any of these kind things. It's just who she is. She is truly an amazing girl who has made our class and our school better because she is in it. Every class should be so lucky to have someone like Briar in it." So Briar, did you know what the CAKE award stands for? I was supposed to read that part first, I forgot. It's character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement. So thank you for being a model in your school and your classroom with Mrs. Pixton. And I'm going to give you this certificate and shake your hand. And then you are going to get not only that certificate, but we have a cupcake kit for you. And my helper, Cammie, is going to help you and take your picture with your teacher after that. So it's a cupcake kit to make it home with your family, and then you'll also get $50 to your media center so that you can help purchase books in your library and put your name in there for future readers. And then you also get a McDonald's card for both you and your teacher, courtesy of Johnson Family McDonald's, our local McDonald's here in town. So thank you so much, and thank you for the nomination. And if you'll say hello to our board members. Congratulations, Briar.
You can come this way, get a hug that way.
Welcome anywhere, though.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a cutie.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Okay, so before I invite our secondary learner of the month, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about the Cake Awards. So School District 25 believes a safe, supportive, and caring and respectful environment is critical to student learning. The School District 25 Education Foundation, in partnership with our local Johnson Family McDonald's, supports the Learner of the Month award to recognize one elementary learner and one secondary learner from our district from October through May. So this is the last one of the school year. And the Cake Award celebrates positive character, attitude, kindness, and encouragement toward others. And nominations for the Cake Award are submitted by a teacher who has observed the nominee's behavior and are approved by the school's principal. So next up, we have our secondary school learner of the month, and that is Deja oh my gosh, you're gonna have to tell me again. Shilhobble. Okay, come on up with me. And then her teachers nominated her, Scott Miner and Molly Johnson. If you will all join me at the podium, that would be awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Shilhobble. Okay, I will not forget that. So I'm going to read a little bit from the nominations letters. In his nomination letter, Mr. Miner wrote, Deja Shilhobble has been a peer tutor, teacher assistant in my developmental learning program, or DLP as we know it. Deja aspires to be a special education teacher and work with kids with severe special needs. As such, I have given her extra responsibilities and freedoms regarding our morning routine in our classroom. I asked her to teach specific behaviors to specific students, including pronunciation, identifying different colors, or encouraging speaking in a softer voice. When I asked Deja if she understood why I had her doing these things, she mentioned as part of their IEP goals. And I responded, well, you want to be a teacher, so I'm giving you the class to actually teach what they need. Not only did she take a new interest in the class, she also took a new interest in herself. She would ask what she could do different and how she presented to the class, where she should stand, how to maintain better eye contact and tone of her voice, taking all of the feedback to heart. At one point, the students began to prefer Deja doing the morning routine due to her caring for my students and taking the initiative to go above and beyond all expectations to make this classroom more enjoyable and engaging. Deja Shilhobble deserves this award. And then, I know, and it sounds like you've been a wonderful mentor to her as well, so congratulations to you. In her nomination letter, Mrs. Johnson wrote, Deja truly is a one-of-a-kind student. I've had the pleasure of being her teacher for the past 3 years and have observed her mature into a wonderful young adult. She is actively engaged in our school community through student mentorship and peer tutor roles with our most vulnerable population at Pocatello High School. Her kindness and impressive character extend to her participation in all of her classes. Deja has assumed the role of teacher assistant in her English class, actively helping any student who welcomes peer support. Deja is always aware of students who may not have a friend to eat with or talk to at lunch, and makes herself available to engage with those students. Even as a senior in her final trimester of high school, she continues to persevere in her learning and seeks to make significant academic achievements every day. Moreover, Deja's post-high school goals include achieving a degree in teaching in pursuit of becoming a special education teacher. We hope to see you very soon. And I'm so excited to watch her succeed and continue to serve our Pocatello-Chubbuck community. So Deja, you also, congratulations, and here's your certificate of achievement. You will also get the $50 for your media center to purchase books in your name, as well as a Johnson Family McDonald's gift card for both you and your teachers. So thank you so much, and if you'll say hello to our board.
Thank you. Thanks for that great nomination. Thanks for the great class.
Thank you. Thank you. We will now accept public, oh,
I have one more.
one more.
Next up, we have our PIES Award, which is the Employee of the Month award, which recognizes our employees who positively influence educational success. This is award is for employees who go above and beyond in that effort, and they are nominated by their peers. Each PIES Award monthly recipient receives a $50 gift card from our partner in this award, Lookout Credit Union. And is Miss Tamara Palmer here this evening? As well as Amy Hillier and Beverly Hillier. Would you all join me up at the podium, please? So Tamara is our PIES recipient for May. This is our final award of the year, so thank you for being here. And also Kelly Mulally. Is Kelly here? Okay. So Ms. Palmer received 3 nominations, so I'm just going to read a little bit from each of those nominations. In her nomination letter, Amy wrote, Mrs. Palmer is new to Alameda Middle School this year, but is not new to teaching. As someone who doesn't have a background in education, I often seek her for advice on how to build relationships with learners she had in the past. When I go to her for advice, she always makes you feel important. I know that she is willing to help learners when she can see that they are struggling or if they ask her for help. She never makes you feel like your questions aren't valid or silly. She also has an abundance of advice and knowledge from her years of teaching that she is always willing to share. I have seen her work tirelessly to help children be successful. Ms. Mulally wrote, Ms. Palmer was a coworker of mine at Lewis and Clark. She's amazing with learners and staff alike. And Ms. Hillier wrote, Ms. Palmer goes above and beyond to help her learners be successful in every area of their life. Academically, she looks at each learner as an individual and adapts her lessons to meet the learner where they are. She looks at the whole child and knows if they are lacking in other areas, such as social or emotional, those needs must also be met to be successful. I have seen her work tirelessly to help children be successful and to reach their full potential. She always places the learner first and foremost in everything she does. Her positive attitude and genuine care for her students have a profound impact on their overall learning experience, and her ability to foster a positive classroom atmosphere not only enhances student engagement, but also promotes a sense of belonging and encourages academic growth. On a personal note, I have worked with Tamara for many years, and I've become a much better teacher in person because of her. She's helped me when I have struggled with a learner and to look at them from a different perspective and with an open mind. I, as well as many learners, know that if we need help, advice, or just someone to sit and listen to us, she is always available and willing to be there. So thank you so much for your example to our teachers and our learners. Congratulations. You get a $50 gift card courtesy of Lookout Credit Union, and then you will get a $25 for maybe you guys can go grab a coffee together. So we thank Lookout Credit Union, and if you will say hello and let our board members congratulate you as well.
Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that concludes our recognitions. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. We will now accept public comment. Just to begin with, we have 3 on the same subject: Kate Turner, Michelle Byron, and Megan Anderson. You can choose. You can either have 10 minutes for the 3 of you, and or you can have 3 minutes each, whatever you choose. Would you like 3 minutes?
We were told we had 5 minutes, and we
Oh.
had it that way.
Oh,
Only 3?
yeah, the procedure is 3 minutes. It's listed.
In the document right here. Okay, so if you have.
We can, if you were told 5, I think it would be 5.
I don't have a problem with 5.
I don't have a problem with.
3, but she needs 5.
No, I don't have a problem with 5
All right, would you go
minutes.
ahead with your 3 minutes? You can go ahead with the 5.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay?
It does say 5 minutes in there.
Oh, okay,
That
okay,
might be an old document.
sure. So, Kay Turner, would you like to start?
Yes, my name is Kay Turner. In 1975, I interviewed for the library aide position at Syringa Elementary. In the end, Grant Olson, the principal, said, "Well, you have a bachelor's degree, so I'm guessing you can do the job." And I'm guessing a lot of you here in this room weren't even born in 1975, and that is why I am here. I want to give you the history of District 25's commitment to certified librarians at the elementary level. At the time of my interview, there were 2 media specialists, both full-time at their schools, Tyhee and Wilcox. Within a few days, I knew 2 things. I loved working with elementary school kids, and I needed more than a bachelor's degree to run my library. I started taking classes at ISU and did bit teaching with Marion Jones at Tyhee. Watching her interact with students and collaborate with teachers was a thing of beauty. The director of elementary ed assured me the district was committed to having certified media people in all elementary schools. Back then, we were called media generalists or specialists, but I prefer what the kids called me, library teacher. In 1977, I received the media endorsement on my teaching certificate, and the director of elementary ed had to tell me there was not money in the budget for hiring. So back to school I went, and in 1978, I received my elementary ed certification and taught 5th grade at Tendoy for 3.5 years. In the middle of the year, the district was able to fund 2 elementary library positions, and I was hired to be at Jefferson and Indian Hills. The other position included Gate City, Tendoy, and Idaho. Marion and Peggy were each given an additional school besides Wilcox and Tyhee. For the next number of years, certified librarians were hired until all 15 schools were covered. I was at Jefferson for 22 years. The years I had 2 schools, Indian Hills or Washington, I saw between 800 to 1,200 students, so I opted to work 3 days a week and still had about 550 kids. I loved every moment. There's absolutely nothing more gratifying than putting the right book into the right hands at the right moment. The hard and frustrating part for all of us was squeezing in a story, a lesson, and time for finding and checking out books in 30 minutes per class. We were also responsible for all the equipment in the buildings. Remember film strip and 16mm projectors? We managed 2 library collections, and then in the early 90s, we were tasked with being in charge of the building's computers. But in spite of the drawbacks, the joy of working with my kids, I mean, think about it, kids and books, what could be better? It was an honor and privilege to have such a satisfying career. I retired in 2004, and a year later, Steve Anderson called and asked if I would come see if the room full of books at Holy Spirit Catholic School could become a library. Indeed, it could. I was the librarian there for 11 years with 45-minute classes and small groups. It was a joy. I've been thinking about making this speech since 2006, when all certified librarians in the elementary schools had their days cut. And then in 2011, the positions were completely removed from the elementary and middle schools. Why? Not only were they pulled, but the paraprofessionals were left to handle classes on their own. If one person is checking out books, who is at the shelves helping little kids find the perfect book? Jody Kelly will be giving you a handout detailing her responsibilities at Gate City, including her collaboration with teachers and the accelerated reading program. If you have any questions or concerns, we will be happy to talk with you. And we hope you will address those questions and concerns with the administration. It is my understanding that since 2011, 26 certified full-time employees have been added to the district. Why have none of them been elementary school library teachers? I have one suggestion. As a start, why not go back to the beginning and put one qualified, talented librarian full-time at Wilcox or Tyhee? Watch the IRI scores and see what happens, then make a commitment to staff elementary school libraries with certified library teachers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, and Michelle, do you want to go next? Okay. And you needed 3 minutes, is that right?
I hope so.
Okay, okay.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Byron, and I am finishing my 2nd year as a library media assistant at Wilcox Elementary. I would like to speak with you today about the responsibilities of a media assistant, to add my support for the request for one media specialist to be housed at one of the elementary libraries and to be over all elementary libraries. While our position is labeled as assistant, as the sole person responsible for library classes and the daily running and maintenance of the library, we are not assistants to anyone. We see every class every week for 30 minutes each, just like the other specials such as music and PE. As one of the larger elementary schools in the district, this year I was seeing 23 classes every week with between 18 and 25 learners. During this time, we are building connections and relationships with our learners and helping them find joy in reading and books. Each week, I would get progress updates from one second grade learner on how far she was through her book before it was her day for library class. A fourth grade learner who had prepared which books she wanted to check out the day before came to me bubbling with excitement to ask if she could change her mind because she had found book 3 of a series she was reading and had been waiting for it for so long. One of our final classes, a first grade learner, told me that he was sad that library was almost over because it was his favorite class. Fifth graders asked me if I was sure I was staying at Wilcox next year or could I go to Hawthorne Middle School with them? Beyond these relationships, we are responsible for preparing a read aloud or lesson and helping the students find and check out an appropriate book. Unlike the other specials, however, we are not certified teachers. We are not given a curriculum, goals for learners, lesson ideas, or even training. Along with creating lessons for each grade level each week, teaching the classes, and checking out each class's books, we are running the libraries. Checking in returned books, sorting and shelving the returns. This year, each week, I had about 700 book returns. Sending out notices of overdue and lost books, setting up book displays, repairing damaged books, making a list of books too damaged to repair that we will need to replace, taking inventory of the books that we have and weeding those that are no longer needed, selecting new titles for purchase, and processing new books to be added to the library's collection. This is also expected with very little training. I believe that some good things were accomplished this year in my library. I had over 50 volunteers in the 4th and 5th grades eager to volunteer and help in the library. We had genre challenges and competitions to help learners explore fiction they would otherwise overlook, and some found love for genres they didn't expect. Labels, visual signs, and end cap lists were created to assist the learners in finding the nonfiction topics they were looking for. 4th and 5th graders.
Just finished. Go
Okay.
Go ahead and finish.
Thank you.
I don't want to.
4th and 5th graders were shown how to navigate the library catalog in Destiny and how to find the title on the shelf from the information that they found there. Fun read-alouds and activities were shared with the lower grades, which led to many of them sharing how much they enjoyed coming to library each week for the stories and because they just felt happy there. We participated in the Idaho Battle of the Books for the first time, and I have some 4th graders who are so excited to participate again next year that they have already started reading the announced books. All of these accomplishments and their preparation came at the cost of something else. I have a hospital wing box full of books that are damaged and need repairs. I have new books waiting to be processed, filling an entire book cart, a large printer box, a large bin, and stacked in a couple of piles. Areas of the library need to be inventoried and weeded. Books need to be selected for purchasing next fall. I absolutely love this job. I can't imagine anything better than working with books and helping kids foster that love of reading. I am very lucky at my school to have the support of my principal and teachers. It is, however, a larger job than one person can reasonably do alone. If we as a district are expecting well-run libraries that are welcoming and accessible to our learners, we need to provide support. And I feel that the best way to do this would be to have one media specialist housed at an elementary school overseeing all 13 elementary libraries. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, next is, I don't know if is this working? Oh, it is. Next is Megan Anderson.
Thank you very much.
And Renee.
Good evening.
I'm here to speak to you today because I have not been heard by the district administration about my concerns on the direction of our school libraries. And I'm concerned about the decisions being made without any consultation with those that know libraries the best. Before I go further, let me introduce myself. I have been an employee of the district since 2001 as an elementary classroom teacher, and then as an elementary media specialist when I earned my master's degree in information and library science in 2004. And then at the high school level at Century after all the elementary teacher librarians were cut in 2011. In that time, I have hosted family reading nights in elementary schools, formed book clubs for teachers, students, and parents, provided professional development to all K-12 teachers covering a multitude of topics, and most recently got learners excited about reading again with the Idaho Battle of the Books. I've been recognized as the Idaho School Librarian of the Year in 2011, earned the Master Educator Premium in 2019, and am nearing the end of my career after 26 years in education. COVID changed the duties and focus of my job. For 9 years prior to COVID, my primary focus was on technology at the secondary level, with minimal time spent at the elementary level. Post-COVID, the technology part of my job was redistributed to the district-level tech coach. COVID also brought about the district's elimination of the Accelerated Reader Program, which led to a massive change to the elementary library structure. These changes have prompted me to ask the district for a shift in where the media specialists are housed and what their focus should be. During my visits to the elementary schools, I have heard from the library paraprofessionals that teachers are struggling with getting students to read. This trend is reflected in the IRI statistics, which you will be able to see on the handout. I'd like you to pay particular attention to the Tier 3 column, where the percentage of below grade level readers was in the single digits before certified librarians were removed from the libraries and their positions eliminated, and the percentage for fall for this school year, which is at 19%. That's almost 1 in 5 K through 3 students who read below grade level. The information on the other side of your handout shows where the district has prioritized their spending on literacy. There was over $2.7 million put into just K-3 literacy interventions, yet none of that money was put towards our libraries. Research shows that strong libraries equal strong readers. Research also shows that libraries with certified librarians have better test scores than those that don't. Why would the district not direct any literacy money towards the district libraries? I don't really have an answer. For the past 3 years, I have tried unsuccessfully for 2 new positions to be added to the library staff in order to address these issues. I am fully aware of the freezes and cuts that are upon us this year, which is why I haven't requested any new certified positions be added. However, I would like to request 1 paraprofessional be added to just the media center at Century, who would adequately cover its needs for now, so that my sole responsibility would be to oversee the 13 elementary libraries. This would allow me to have a more visible presence at the elementary level rather than dividing my time between a high school library and overseeing 7 other elementary libraries as I do now. Last month, I requested a meeting with our district leadership. Principals at the elementary, middle, and last month I requested a meeting with our district leadership, principals at the elementary, middle, and high school levels, and the other 2 media specialists to communicate my concerns. My hope was that together, we would come up with a solution that is equitable to all grade levels and addresses the high needs of the elementary libraries at this point in time. The response to my request for a meeting was a definitive and resounding no. From the district administration. I was told they are aware of the issues and no changes would be made. However, no one at the district level who was a part of this decision ever asked for my input or the input from the elementary and middle school principals. This does not reflect the district slogan, think more, learn more, be more together. I will be sending you an email tomorrow with more information about this issue. Please feel free to contact me if you have questions. My hope is that a conversation between all stakeholders will be initiated. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 other requests for public comment. Zach Bartsky. I'm sorry, Barchi. Yes. I'm so sorry I messed up your name. Sure, yes, you can sit there. Yes.
All right, well, Board Chair, trustees, and Dr. Howell and others behind me. My name is Zach Barchi. I thank you for your time and opportunity to speak for a couple minutes with you. The topic I wanted to address today is in reference to the bathrooms, specifically at each Pocatello Chubbuck School District 25 middle and high schools. I come to you with a unique perspective. I'm a father of 6 children. 2 of those attend a local middle school. I was a school resource officer for 6 years at Century High School, and I recently was the police sergeant over all the schools for School District 25. As a parent, prior SRO and prior SRO sergeant, I believe there are some major problems and concerns with our bathrooms inside our school district, and I wanted to share some of those problems that I've seen. First, I've talked with my daughters, and I've asked them if they would use the bathrooms in their schools. I found out some interesting information. They said that they never use the bathrooms unless it's an absolute emergency. One of my daughters went on to explain that she was using the bathroom and another student began looking over the stall at her. On another occasion, she overheard several students in the bathroom talking about a fight that was going to occur, and she hid in the stall until she believed all students had left the area where it was safe. Both my daughters believe the bathrooms are unusable and unsafe places. As an SRO and SRO sergeant, I have seen documented behavior in bathrooms, including alcohol consumption, arson, assaults, bullying, drug possession, selling of drugs, theft, vandalism, felony voyeurism, child pornography, vaping, and smoking. The amount of illegal activity in the bathrooms is concerning, and we're only aware of what is reported to us. I've gone to several middle and high schools asking students if they would use the bathrooms, and overwhelmingly the answer is no. The bathrooms are not a safe place, and I am told, one student reported to another officer that she received a UTI because she refused to go inside our school bathrooms. I want to share with you my support in recent efforts across the United States and with the Pocatello Community Charter School in changing the current bathroom layout. With Highland High School remodel, this is a great opportunity to look at our bathrooms. I believe the way forward is a single stall or inclusive restroom. I have pictures that I shared with you. I believe that there are 3 priorities that the school district should focus on when coming up with the layout for these bathrooms. First, floor-to-ceiling doors. Second is cameras on the outside of those doors that are easily visible. And third is a hand-washing area that is open and outside the bathroom. These areas can be also easily monitored by adults. If we accomplish these priorities, it will assist in making the bathrooms private, safe, and usable for all students. This model can be adapted to each school as future remodels take place. I believe we should spare no expense in coming up with a successful plan. And I know that the Pocatello Community Charter School has had great success with the bathrooms, and believe if it is done right, that this school district will be ahead of the curve in making the right change for our students. Are there any questions that I can answer that you might have?
I would love to ask you some questions, but we actually can't.
Oh, okay.
Because according to open meeting law, if it's a comment, then we're not allowed to respond. So I apologize.
No problem.
But I would be more than happy to have a discussion.
I'm always open, and Dr. Howell has my information as well. So
Yes, we would
Yeah.
love to. Thank you very much.
I do have a comment in regard to this.
not a question, though.
No, just a comment, just a public comment in relation to what's been said, not an interchange. Is that okay? Yeah, no, I've been down with another staff member over to Pocatello Community Charter School. We've looked at the restrooms there. They have an excellent solution, I think. I really believe we plan to incorporate that into the design of Highland High School. And I think that that design here It can easily be used to retrofit all the existing restrooms in the district. And so we're familiar, I'm very familiar with what you're talking about, and I agree. I think it's a good solution.
Yes, thank you. This was put on our work session for the reasons that you talked about, and we are planning to come up with goals right away and do as much this summer before school starts as we can.
Sounds great. Thank you so
I
much.
didn't know I could respond, so.
Well, it sounds like we're headed in a great direction, so thank you
Yes,
so
and I
much.
appreciate that very much. Okay, so, JD, is it Jody Kelly? Oh, yes. Oh, Jody Kelly.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a follow-up on the library concerns, media specialist concerns. Some introductory remarks. I'm going to read to you an essay that I wrote to qualify our school, which was Gate City School, for the Renaissance Master School Award. We were required to submit data to quantify our results, but this was written after the fact. We had already been implementing these best reading practices for years, and this award was simply icing on the cake. The bottom line was we worked diligently as a staff to monitor and motivate students to read books at their highest levels of comprehension and for the most enjoyment, resulting hopefully in lifelong learners with a love of reading. This program would not have been possible to implement without having both a media generalist, certified librarian, and a library assistant working together, because the workload was frankly overwhelming. I'll begin. This was written in May of 2006, when was the last year I was privileged to be a media specialist. At Gate City School, we are committed to improving students' reading comprehension and instilling in them a lifelong love of reading. Of course, the two go hand in hand. When we first purchased Accelerated Reader, we could see the added possibilities for achieving these goals, and for the past 8 years, we have been making use of the Reading Renaissance principles and strategies in this effort. We've seen results in every classroom. Our teachers have seen the value in and have scheduled the time to support the necessary 45 to 60 minutes of reading practice for their students. As Renaissance strategies integrate so well into our district reading curriculum, this has been a natural development and a good fit. Many teachers use their scheduled classroom time and silent reading times to monitor individual students' reading and to conference with students about their book choices and comprehension of the material. Teachers offer incentives, such as classroom AR parties when students reach their reading goals. Several of our teachers are using certification levels to motivate students and have been pleased with the results. Our librarian gives students some time to read while classes are in the media center, and she as well monitors in conferences with individual students about their reading, as does the library aide. This is time-consuming. By printing out diagnostic reports each week, she is able to pay special attention to those students who are at risk to help them make better choices in their book selection. In this effort, she works closely with classroom teachers who also check the diagnostic reports, as we have discovered that teacher-librarian collaboration is key to student reading success and growth. Our librarian also keeps her circulation records updated to include current reading range for each of our students. In addition to updating the circulation record, she keeps the Accelerated Reader Management screen up in order to monitor student reading. PTA and parent involvement have been crucial to our success. Parent support of student reading goals is essential. Because our PTA has been so supportive of and enthusiastic about our goals for student reading, they've been more willing to provide funds for library books and accelerated reader quizzes.
It's time, but you can go ahead and
Oh,
finish.
Really? I appreciate that greatly.
Yes, yes,
I realize this is lengthy.
yes, we appreciate you.
Okay. Above and over what would have been possible without with school district funding alone. Our collection of both fiction and nonfiction books with corresponding quizzes is impressive. Students were able to research for science and social studies reports using largely our own library collection of and our library collection supports classroom curriculum in math as well. We make an effort to extend our library services to students' homes by maintaining a school library media website. This site offers useful links to reading and research websites, as well as continually updated lists of our AR quizzes by author, title, and reading range. Due largely to funding from our PTA and Student Council, our Media Center is an inviting place to meet for instruction, collaboration, browsing, and reading. It is comfortably furnished. We have seasonal displays welcoming students, large screen projection. Students are motivated to try new genres by participating in monthly genre challenge competition, and they may be lured into reading an award-winning novel through participation in other games that we had planned for them. In short, we make reading and our library focal points in our school because we have the time with a media specialist and a library assistant to do all these things. I've also handed you an Excel spreadsheet, which is extensive, which backs up what was talked about earlier with the time involved in managing a library. It's huge. As you look at that. In fact, we did this, and I can't believe we did this. We were able to accomplish all that between the two of us, but I appreciate your time.
Thank
your
you so
interest
much.
and your
We
attention in
appreciate you
this.
very much. And all of these handouts that we've been given will be scanned in and they'll be available as addendum items so that everybody will be able to read through these things.
Thank you so much.
So you're welcome. Thank you very, very much. So the next person is Marcel Berkman.
My name is Marcel Berkman. I'm a 9th grader at Century High School. I'd like to speak to you all today about House Bill 710 and the dangers it poses to freedom of thought in our school system. I am speaking specifically about high school libraries, not elementary libraries, as high schoolers retain a level of intellectual maturity higher than elementary school children. Librarians do not set out on their days with the intent to harm children. I'm very certain of that. To require librarians to label books containing nudity and queer expression as pornography is nonsensical and an unnecessary administrative burden. Ms. Anderson, who manages multiple school libraries across the district, doesn't have extra time to spend surveying and organizing books into harmful material categories. House Bill 710, published by the State Affairs Committee, provides a definition of the sexual conduct they refer to as harmful material in books. This reads as, quote, sexual conduct, meaning any act of masturbation, homosexuality, sexual intercourse, or physical contact with a person's clothed or unclothed genitals, pubic area, buttocks, or if such person is a female, then breast, end quote. In this definition, LGBTQ literature gets roped in with what is called sexual material. Earlier this year, Bill 538 was passed. This bill renders the definitions of sex and gender as the same under government entities, which is extremely false. Queerness is under no circumstance specifically linked to sex, especially in YA literature. So, under House Bill 710, in technicality, almost all queer literature and expression is labeled as harmful material. This is incredibly damaging to queer youth in many ways, including underrepresentation, discrimination, and lack of education. And while I do believe there is some material which should be restricted from children, it is not a government's job to decide which books and literature that is. This should be up to teachers and parents based upon circumstance. Under the rule that renders any type of nudity as sexual, many books containing medical diagrams, books containing Michelangelo, Picasso, Goya, Leonardo da Vinci, and Salvador Dali paintings, as well as the Bible, would also technically be rendered as harmful to minors. Even the book I'm currently reading for my 9th grade English class, The Odyssey, contains violence and nudity. This bill isn't about protecting minors. It's about restricting access to information and discriminating against queer youth. I've learned by reading books that any organization who ever banned books has never been on the right side of history. A question I compel you to ask yourself is, are you passing these laws and borrowing information to make a better place for your younger generations? Are your younger people going to want to stay and build their families in the city and country? Or is your discrimination causing young people to lose faith in the system? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is our student representative reports. We'll begin with Century High School with Addie Marshall and Elena Bitten.
Okay, I'm not Addie or Allie, but good evening. My name is Suri Dalamy, and I'm Century's new student body co-president. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share what we've been doing. First off, our boys tennis team took state this year. Daniel and Liam McGee won the boys double bracket, which was super cool. Our softball team was academic state champions, and 5 of our track athletes placed at state, with Matea Mangum setting the new state record for the 100-meter race. We are excited to start our summer camps for all sports, and we're especially excited to prepare for our new turf to go in, and we'd like to thank you again for making that possible. After closing out their last production, our drama is preparing to attend the Patty Duke Awards this weekend. 2 of our students, Will Levitt and Kevin Wilson, are in the running to attend the Jimmy Awards in New York. They'll find out if they qualify this weekend, so we're super excited for them as well. We took a moment to recognize our students who show academic excellence by having an academic award ceremony where students who went above and beyond were recognized by their teachers and their peers and administration. At this ceremony, our very own Josh Eggers was recognized for his future attendance at the very prestigious West Point Military Academy in New York. And we are relieved to be done with AP testing, but sad to say goodbye to our seniors this week as they take their finals and have their final send-off on Thursday. Lastly, we were recognized as a top school by U.S. News World Reports. We were ranked number 9 in Idaho, with only 4 schools in the top 9 being traditional public schools, and the rest were charter schools. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have Highland High School, and maybe I'll just have them introduce themselves since the names are probably wrong. Is there a representative from Highland here? Okay, we'll move to Century, and Pocatello. And would you introduce yourself? Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Taylor. I'm the junior class president at Pocatello High School. So our softball team took state last week. This is 4 state champions this school year: softball, boys basketball, debate, and student government. We had all of our spring sports participate in state last week: baseball, tennis, softball, and track. Student government and Pocatello High School raised over $6,000 for Make-A-Wish. Tomorrow night is our science night, where our biology students will be showcasing their original research. We had several students participate in BPA Nationals last week. We have had a record of, we've had a record number of students receive the Idaho Opportunity and Launch scholarships. Our chess club is holding a tournament next week, and we are very excited about our graduation next week, but also very sad to see our seniors go. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we will have a presentation by AJ Watson and Kathy Losnick about our Head Start change in scope. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we pause that? Before that, we'd like to have Courtney Fisher give us a report on our community relations. Oh, sorry.
Okay, hello again. You're fine. Okay, so before I begin, this is your public service announcement that today is Election Day. So if you didn't vote yet, polls are open until 8 p.m. this evening. We do have the ballot question on the ballot, but we are encouraging people to go vote, but not necessarily on that specific question. So if you will, in your media packet or in your packet, is the communications report. I'm just going to draw your attention, starting on page 3, to the top performing posts in the last 28 days. Our food service announcement, announcing that summer food service program, was the top performing post in the last 28 days. And that program starts on June 23rd for those tuning in that may be interested in that. I've linked in this report to that media release. That program runs from 11:30 to 12:30, Monday through Friday. The only day they don't serve is July 4th, that holiday. And then it runs through August 2nd. So that is always a popular program, and so it doesn't surprise me that it was a high-performing information. The second top-performing post was the unveiling of the new DARE car that was inspired by the A-10 military plane. I've also linked to that press release to the Idaho State Journal, that story that they did. And so we had several board members in attendance, as well as Superintendent Howell and several administrators, DARE board members that serve on our administrative team. And so that was a really fun event to see that unveiled. Another highlight on the next page is we had success with the Education Foundation, Idaho Gives. This year, we really focused on an internal campaign. And so externally, it might not look like we performed as well as we have over the past couple of years, but our focus really was on that internal payroll deduction and really trying to get our employees aware about what the purpose of the Ed Foundation is, as well as the opportunity for them to have some money deducted every paycheck or every month, depending on if they're biweekly or monthly. And so we were able to raise more than $17,000 within that 4-day time period. And we received 34 new payroll deductions. And we increased, this is the one that really makes me happy, is that monthly payroll contributions are going to increase from $612 to $1,354 a month. So that was our ultimate goal, was to really double that number. It had been just slowly in decline over the past several years, and so we've bumped that right back up where it needs to be. And then we had 88 total donors. I've also given you some information about the total campaign statewide through the Idaho Gives over that 4 days. They raised $4.3 million. Just under 14,000 donors total supported that initiative, and benefiting 624 organizations. So it's really, Idaho Gives isn't necessarily about raising the most money, it's really about bringing awareness to Idaho nonprofits, and so it's something that we always enjoy, networking with other organizations, getting to know what other people are doing charitably in our communities, and learning where we can partner together. So I count this a great success for the Education Foundation this year. The next page, it just gives you some highlights about Educator Appreciation Week, which was the first full week in May. So our district team delivered a number of cakes. I've just kind of put a fun collage together so you can see all of that. 56 cakes, 40 pounds of jerky, bags of cuties and apples, because we wanted to make sure that we had something for everyone if somebody doesn't necessarily eat sweets, and have that cake. And then we had just a big, really cultivating joy was our theme this year. So we wanted to celebrate the infinite power of joy throughout that entire week. I will let you look at the headlines of interest in your board packet. I've included all of those headlines and all of the media that either is a statewide or district specific related to education. And so you can peruse those. There's several in there. And then the last thing I'll draw your attention to, I just participated last week in IDSPRA, which is the state chapter of the National School Public Relations Association. It's a chapter that's small and mighty. It's a great network of public relations officials across the state. And I was able to present in 2 different sessions, one on a panel talking about some of the challenges with ballot initiatives and some of the restrictions that have been placed with legislation on those ballot disclosures, as well as Ms. Wilkes joined me with the E3 team, the Emergent 3 team, to talk about crisis communications, and our partners at E3 came along with us, and we presented to them the kind of innovative things we're doing in school safety. Both presentations very well received, and then I will be serving as the president of IDSPRA for the next year, so we will be bringing that annual conference to Pocatello. I'm hoping to host it at PV Tech next May or June. So just wanted to make you aware of that. There's some really great opportunities to do coalition building. That's my goal as president this year, is to really work with the State Department, work with the governor's office. What can we be doing together to educate communities about what's happening in education in Idaho, that those issues that we're all facing, that we can create that synergy and communication. So I'll be working with really closely with them.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for representing us so well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Yay, that's awesome. Okay, next we'll have the Head Start presentation.
Just have one item. Kathy is here, but she said I could take care of it if you have any questions. She'd be more than willing to answer those. But at the board work session last week, she presented on the change in scope for Head Start. And just as a reminder, and maybe for Trustee Furness, a quick overview as to that request for a change in scope. Head Start is wanting approval to reduce the federally funded enrollment from 169 learners to 156 learners starting on July 1st, so basically for next school year. The plan for this proposal is to reduce the staff to child ratio, and then she also indicated that this proposal will not lead to any reductions in staff, and it also will not reduce the number of classrooms, just the number of student to staff ratio. And so that is up for your action today. I'm willing to, if you have any additional questions since that information was presented, I can answer those to the best of my ability, or Kathy can answer those as well if you have any.
Thank you. Kathy's presentation was wonderful last week, and I know she was very sad.
She was very sad.
to
It's hard.
reduce that
It's been a
number
tough,
because she is so dedicated.
it's been a tough decision for them as they've looked at this now for a year or so, as other Head Start programs have moved this direction to reduce the number of slots available. So it's been a difficult decision for them.
Yes, she did explain to us how it will give more individualized time for each student.
Improve the quality.
And improve the
Yes.
quality. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We just need
Okay.
a motion.
I was gonna say.
Oh, are we gonna go ahead and, oh, yeah, that's right, we will.
I hereby move that the board approve the Head Start change in scope request is presented.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion passes. We'd now like to hear from Sue Pettit about our Infinite Campus and IC technology update.
So, and my voice just died. Infinite Campus, just so you know, this past year and over this next summer, we're going to be doing a cleanup on our master course catalog and getting rid of old courses that are getting pulled into state reporting. And so we're doing a massive cleanup on that, starting with middle school and then going into high school beginning this summer and continuing next year. And then we continue to work with Infinite Campus on our special education forms, and they're working on redoing them so they match Idaho, and Idaho just went over a big upheaval in their forms, and so they're cleaning those up so that we can start using our Infinite Campus with special ed, we're hoping, next year. And then, just so you know, our state reporting for May was in last week on Friday at 8 o'clock at night. And we have another one coming up in June, and that will be the end of this year's Infinite Campus, or IC reporting. So that's where we're at.
Thank you. We'll now have a staffing update by Brenda Miner.
Good evening. Welcome. Nice to have you. I just wanted to give you an update on our staffing and where we are. Actually, sometimes in May, I'm always nervous because I think, oh gosh, are we going to be okay by August? And I'm super happy to report that we're in a good place as far as hiring and those things. So just kind of an update for you guys a little bit, just to know where we were and where we are. We had 19 openings that we had in elementary school, okay? Remember, we talked about that we did some reduction, and so the 19 are just the open positions that we have. And when I say reductions, I first want to comment that I cannot thank Mr. Watson enough for joining me, and how the teachers were so receptive in the schools when we were able to go out and talk to them about their new placements. And we had 4 exceptional elementary teachers who were gracious and understanding, and I just needed them to hear how impressive that was on how they handled that situation, because being here in the district for 30 plus years, it becomes your family. Your school becomes your family. And so just for the way that these ladies, they were just real class acts, and I just wanted to recognize them, because those decisions are tough. That being said, out of the 19 positions that we have available, we've hired 7 new people. The rest of those 19s have been maybe a transfer. You see that sometimes happen in elementary schools. Someone may want to go to middle school, or, just for a change. And so of those positions, the 19, we only have 4 that are still open. And to be honest with you, the reason that those are open, there's plenty of candidates. It's just this time of year is so crazy. The principals have been pretty busy. And so some of them have started the interview process, but they'll get to that as soon as the kids leave. Usually that's kind of the case. And so in the middle school, we have 15 openings, and of those, we have only 1 that is not filled, and that is just a brand new recent opening for an ELA position. So that feels comfortable as well. I'm also happy to report in high school we had 28, and if you remember last time when I talked to you, I had some real concerns about special education. We've had a really good partnership working with ISU and having some conversations with them about some of the people who either were in the PAC program or that were in the special education program that are close enough, and so we are down to only 1 opening in special education as of tonight. So that makes me feel a whole lot better than 7, I think, when I was here last, so that's a good news. And then so in the high school, we still have a couple of CTE positions and 3 other in the high school. Of course, the area that's always still a concern, and I say this just, I was just speaking with a past special ed director from days gone by, and Linda Steenrod said to me, we always had a hard time hiring SLPs, nurses, school psychs, and I said, guess what, Linda? Guess what I'm going to talk about tonight? We still need 2 nurses, a school psych, and 2 SLPs. So sometimes those positions are pretty difficult to hire in the school system. So just know that I know that Mrs. Harris has done some interviews, and so some of those positions I think will be filled. Again, just have to do some reference checks and those kinds of things. Okay? And then in the classified, I'm sorry, Heather.
No, I was just going to ask, so remind me, what happens if those positions are not filled? Do we have contractors, or?
To be honest with you, that is a huge expense in special education, if you've noticed from previous budgets. When we have to contract those services out, for one thing, I believe personally that there's nothing better than face-to-face instruction, right? And so what has been happening in the SLP world especially, school psychs were usually pretty good. We're able to have, we would always like to have more, but as far as, we haven't had to contract that out. But SLP, and you think about that, speech and language, that's kind of ironic that is sometimes what we have to contract out. So usually what's happened now is just within my term of being in HR, we've started hiring what we call SLPAs, and so those are people who have a bachelor's degree, and so they're overseen by a speech and language pathologist, and usually that person is someone who is contracted, and so it's nice in that respect. We still have to pay for the SLP, but the nice part about that is that SLPA model, the kids actually still get a live body, right? They still have a person in front of them, and that's our goal. And I compliment, Janelle for being able to really work to try and make that so it's not so much that the kids are in front of a computer screen for their SLP services. So that's a difficult.
So just one last, so is it a shortage of qualified candidates, or is it a salary thing?
So it has been a salary. I think we're going to be okay. We interviewed a couple SLP candidates. I'm hopeful. If you remember correctly, last year you guys were, you really looked at that, and I brought to you a proposal for the SLPs, and they have their salary, and then they have also a 10% that's also onto their salary too, because it is super incredibly hard to compete with the private sector.
Right. Okay. That's what.
And then
Glad that's helping.
Yeah, it has helped a lot, and again, I'm super appreciative of that. Any other questions? And then just real quick on classified, as always, bus drivers, you know, we're always looking. You might have seen some of the new signs that are out there. They are for bus drivers. And we have a couple clerical, Eat a House secretary and a food service secretary if you're interested. And then you may see a lot of paras, but those come open more so in August because it's really hard to hire someone in May and say, well, your start date is August 15th. So principals tend to wait a little bit on hiring those because, you know, it's hard to keep them through the summer.
I see. Thank you, Brenda. Next is,
And then I just have one more. Sorry, really quick, sorry. This is just where, so that we can continue hiring through the summer, that you turn the hiring back over to the superintendent, and then that starts tomorrow, and then it'll be returned back to the board on August 31st.
okay, and that's not,
That one is an action item.
That's an action item.
So
Correct.
is there a motion?
I hereby move that the board delegate authority to the superintendent to hire through the summer months as presented.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. The next thing is Jonathan will present preliminary budget materials for 2024, 2025.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for your time this evening. Again, just kind of some numbers as we refine them and get them as close as we can. Again, we're leading up to our June 18th budget hearing. And so anytime that we meet together, we'll dive further into the budget. What I have in front of you is, again, the 100 fund being the largest fund. We kind of looked at that. I'll highlight a couple of the changes. Spent about 3 hours with our state tax commission, learned more about our county taxes, are really a refresher on how to request our levy approved dollars. And so we were able to increase that 3%, and you'll see that in our taxes tort levy. And then you'll see the different items. There was no changes to our state funding there. We did receive just a little bit of an increase in our May payment, and so that's I bumped up our estimated beginning balance just slightly there to kind of reflect and capture those dollars there. And that's of the revenues, and then I did not make any changes. There wasn't any changes there to the expenditures by object there. Again, my main thing I wanted to talk about, it was two federal and our other funds. Well, one is a local fund and one is a federal fund. The first that's in your packet is ESSER. So these are the, I call them the non-100 funds or the other funds. And this is our last few months of our ESSER. This is the federal stimulus that we received, our third round of ESSER funding. And this is, you'll see the report that's in your packet is as of May 1st. And you'll see the amounts that we have in discretionary and learning loss. As a reminder, when we initially got our first allotment close to 2-3 years ago, 20% had to be spent on learning loss. And so that's how that is divided. And so, again, as a reminder, these 8 different categories came from a survey that we initially did that required to receive this money, to the public on, okay, how do we spend this money in the different categories that were there. And so you've seen this before. It's kind of been updated. You'll show that the remaining balance is 0 there, but again, it's in a draft format. You can see the items that for curriculum and program loss of instruction, tutoring, some curriculum, and so forth. We did put some money in some operational continuity, and that was to kind of help us through, again, as we're transitioning from being protected in our units. As you know, all of our state funding is derived from units, and so we're hoping that this will kind of help offset that as we as we transition from enrollment-based funding to ADA funding there. And so you'll see that difference there. And then just some different mitigation strategies, again, things, the playground equipment, some bleachers to finish off Franklin, and then some different upgrades, so any HVAC that normally was coming from our plant facility fund, but we'll take this out of ESSER. Okay. So again, just by way of information or any comments?
Yeah, the only question I had is the physical distance graduation ceremonies. What exactly is?
So that's just to pay for ICCU dome.
Okay.
That was just the way that we could do that in a large space rather than cram them into our gyms or anything like that. That was just a way to, spend a little bit of that money.
Thank you. So is there a motion to approve the preliminary budget?
So, no.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yep, and I've got just one more, if you wouldn't mind.
No.
Just one more sheet, if you'll scroll down just a little bit, and that's it's actually our second largest fund, which is our school plant facilities fund. Just because, so as you remember, I made a presentation on the 12th of December, kind of, again, looking 6 months in the future. This is what we'd like to spend on our school plant facilities fund. And you'll see that in this first column under the blue heading, which was initially approved. As you know, this spring we've bid out projects, and some of them, most of them, net were under budget, which I'm happy to say. Some did go over, and some went less. The big thing that I wanted to highlight in this draft amended is in the revenues, as we've had a couple things come about there. The first one, and we will discuss this further with the board. I did increase the ask in the budget from our property taxes. I learned at our tax commission is if it's not in the budget, we can't. If it's not in our public budget, we can't even ask for it at all. So that's the first step, to put it in the budget, and then we can, decide and modify that budget. Again, our plant facility levies, when it was approved in March of 2020, it included a 5% increase every year. And we've decided not to take that increase in previous years, but I thought I wanted that the board might want this option for this year in light of some of the Highland projects and so forth. And again, we can have further discussions regarding that.
Are you saying that it is just right up at the very first item?
That is that item.
Taxes and the draft amended, so the difference is just that very last.
Correct. The difference would be to increase that amount, 336,469. If you calculate that out, that's 5%. 5%.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, I can show you I've got the original ballot in my office and kind of show there. And that's actually, we're still behind where we should be. And I think that's again, you previously said, no, we have adequate money in here. This was before the fire and so forth. And so I think that's still a good way to do, because again, we need to be sensitive to our taxpayers.
Because our ESSER or COVID funds will be depleted, and so this is kind of replace that.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. Again, in December, we thought we were getting the next line item. Other than earnings on investments, I left that the same. The next item was our lottery funds, and again in December, we thought we were going to get lottery funds, but we're not anymore. So you'll see that item deleted. But I did put in there to counteract that, is I just called it the House Bill 521 fiscal year 25 transfer in. I just put it as $1 million. As again, we were going to carve out $1 million from the $43 million that we're going to get from the state that reduces that eliminated this lottery match. So you can
$1 million a year to cover the lottery.
Correct. To cover the loss of lottery there. And I did that last item, the beginning fund balance. Again, that's one of the challenges of my job, to look into the future and to see that what the beginning balance will be, 8 to 10 months in the future. And so I did reduce that a little bit as we're closer to that balance there. I looked into that. A lot of that is the arches, some of these projects that have kind of come afterwards, the original arches remodel to get that from a tech center to educational space and so forth. And so, and then to remodel the ITB building to put the tech department there. So that was one major thing there. Again, the remaining half, the expenditures, we updated the replacement schedules as those bids came in and so forth. We left the recurring maintenance the same as, again, we haven't expended that yet, and so we just left that the same. But all the exhibits, the interior needs of the schools, exterior needs of the schools, those are actual, as well as the furniture equipment from the departments, the schools, and the directors as well. So at the very bottom, again, you'll see that we did carve out, again, $2.5 million there for the Highland High School enhancements. We did put in there that that could include our music or activity building room that has been submitted to insurance. And so we'll see how much they'll pay for that, how much we'll have to pay for that. Kind of, so we're still, evaluating that facility there. Again, and then the net at the bottom, future projects, contingency reserve is my balancing within 66,000 there, just to save that for any future needs.
And remind me when this goes on the ballot?
So it
Facility?
went on the ballot March of 2020. It's a 10 year. So we are in year 3, I believe,
Oh,
because it didn't start until 21.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
yeah, and again, we'll look at the ballot there. So yes, it is a 10-year a 10-year levy. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So that was just, again, some information as more and more information will come in leading up to our bigger discussion on June 18th. So.
Okay, I appreciate it. You do a lot, and I appreciate your explanations. Is there a motion to approve?
Again, no, not for action, just
On there where it
information.
says information, we don't need any.
Yep, just,
but
it was
for
just
the
letting you
last
know.
two, We'll need action.
Oh, we'll wait for those.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, next month.
Yes, next month, that'll be the big one.
I don't have a cheat sheet today.
You're great, you're great.
But not a problem. I'm just explaining.
Yeah. Would you like me to proceed to the next?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Go ahead and do the Highland project, the
Okay.
bid awards, and then the surplus project.
Okay, we'll get through 'em. There's really not too much of an update since last Tuesday. Again, the committee has not met since then. The committee is meeting tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. I had some correspondence with Kent, and they are diligently working. They feel good about the drawings. We won't have them until probably 2:00. And so I know he pushes it, but
Just a
he just
couple
wants to
of
use as
hours
much
before.
time, as
So
he.
we'll have them a couple of hours before, right? Doesn't the meeting start at 4:30?
Correct. So,
Okay, so will you just forward them in our email, or should it be a
what's the
drive,
best?
or-
We could post them online, or we could forward them.
Yeah, well, whatever, just if we could, I would love to be able to look before to
Sure.
get my
Okay,
mind
and
wrapped around it.
it'll be, we gave him some feedback, there was some different feedback he had asked for. Brad and Travis at Highland has listed all of the storage space. And so he has that as well, and is kind of reviewing our storage space in his design as well. So again, this would just be the second drawing for the entire board, so we still have a couple different renditions. I believe this should be a little bit closer. We really, I think this is a good time to maybe talk about the public. Is this a good time, or maybe tomorrow? Do you think? Sorry, asking public input. I guess this would be good for the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, we discussed, okay, when do we go out to the public? So I'm going to be asking that question of Kent, be thinking of that as the board.
I would think that once the committee feels that the needs are met,
Okay, great. Yep.
Whether it be storage space, whether it be how it's accessed, and the exterior is matching our expectations for, windows on the entrances. as
Sure,
opposed
absolutely.
to No
Okay.
windows, just things like that, the suggestions, I think as long as it meets the committee's expectations, I would think that would be the.
Okay, that's right in line when we had that discussion in cabinet with Dr. Howell, and we kind of thought that would be the exact same way, to kind of get a little bit further down the road, but not 100%
But
set in stone.
As soon as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so we'll,
Everyone's so anxious.
absolutely, and we'll look for that just as soon as we can. So just know that's on the radar, I would assume, in the next 30 to 45 days.
Is he working on, we've had now, a visit to another school, the bathroom issue. I know we're not into the total
Not quite.
brass tacks, but the space might look a little different than what he's.
Absolutely, and I think we could talk to him about that. So we're not quite there yet. So, he's just putting, restroom. Yeah, right now he's just putting square footages, and a restroom would go there. The layout of that restroom, the layout of the kitchen, will definitely come later. But I think I want to mention that. So if you'll help remind me to mention.
I thought this picture was the urinals out in the middle, so I had to really look.
No,
those are sinks.
Those are sinks. Those are sinks.
Look at that, but it is
Yep,
a whole different
yep.
kind of look.
So
Public urinal trouble.
That'll be our next.
Yeah.
After we get the floor plan, then.
Correct. That we'll dive more into the schematic. That's his next phase once he has the overall layout. And then he'll dive into the schematic of these individual spaces of, what do the locker rooms look like? What do the, as I mentioned, kitchen, the bathroom, and we'll mention that if you'll help remind me tomorrow that we'll mention that to Kent and his team that the restrooms are going to be very important for us to talk about some of these aspects that we want to take place in these.
Okay.
Okay.
And we have bid awards, right?
Yes, bid awards. Okay. These bids are very unique in that they are the as-needed bids. However, to make it fair to everybody, we have to put a number. So we put this first bid, and I just go in alphabetical order. This is for our bread. So, for example, I'm not sure if we're going to have 15,300 loaves of bread next year, but we needed a number. This is actually probably pretty close. Obviously, we have some good historical data. And so we needed some items to compare. So again, on this bread items, 5 vendors were invited to bid, and we received bids back from 3 vendors. You'll see the 3 listed there. So this is for action later after I'm done here. That again, we request that we award Franz Bakery in Pocatello the award for the bread for the 24-25 school year. The next one is switching away from food service. It's to custodial, but it's the same item, same type of concept. There were 47 custodial items that were put out to 22 vendors. We received bids
16
from.
or 13?
No, I'm sorry about that. Excellent question. I believe it was, if I work backwards, 6, yep, 13. Yep. Forgive me for that. I did not catch that. Yes, 13 vendors. And again, there were some vendors that, based on pricing, did not receive anything. And again, not to list all 47 items, but we do list the vendors, where they're located, and the approximate dollar amount that we would spend on each one. Again, only as needed basis.
There's really an item in Wyoming for $196.
I'm gonna say. What did you say again?
So,
Which
it's
one?
Wyoming, $196.
Oh, yes, yeah, correct. Well, and they bid on everything, but that was just the one item.
That we're
Probably
gonna-
some little filter or
They
some.
probably need some,
Yeah, some spray.
A sprayer.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we, and
definitely-
again, we try to do the best we can with price there.
That's just funny.
Whatever they need.
Yeah.
So we want to go ahead and
There's still more.
approve, oh, you want, oh, I'm
How many?
Yeah,
more?
and I'll go through these super fast. You can read. Yeah, if I've got I've got just 3 more real quick. Again, food items, 325 different food items in different quantities. We had 18 vendors and sent the bids, and 8 responded back. Again, we send them out, but we also post them. So those are the vendors that we have. Again, you can look at these different food items from the various food vendors and the approximate dollar amounts for these. And again, we just get them as needed. A lot of times I asked our food service coordinator, Heather Canfield, how was our supply chain? And we still run into some issues, if there's an abundance of rain or lack of rain, it's sometimes hard to get things, but for the most part, our supply chains are pretty good. They've been improved since the COVID. So again, there's a motion there to award those bids. Going again, these are our supplies, 104 different supplies. This is everything from first aid kits, paper products, trays products, napkins, even some chemicals, cleaning chemicals and so forth. Again, you can see the vendors that we'd like to use, and the dollar amounts for these 104 different items as they are needed. Then the last one is milk. Again, we just have the one vendor that services us there, and so there's the amount of milk that we almost 11,000 pints of milk to our 23 locations throughout the district. And those are those prices. So our request is to award that bid to Middle Gold Dairy in that amount, again, as needed throughout the next school year. There, I am done.
well, that's an incredible, that'll work.
And I do thank you all our administrative assistant, and they spend hours assembling all those bids and so forth, putting it into a summary for you to approve.
It's quite overwhelming. Is there a motion to approve the awards bids?
I hereby move that the board awards the below listed bid as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? This motion passes.
Okay, one last item. This is our annual request to hold a surplus property auction. Again, the statute states that anything that is bought with taxpayer dollars after it is found to be obsolete, unusable from the school district, we have to give that opportunity back to the taxpayers to purchase it. And we found it best to use Primetime Auction. They have both the online presence and the actual physical presence that we can look for that. And so that, as you can see, the dates be held July 13th up until July 24th, and then we'll report at the August board meeting on how the money that we did receive there. And that goes into the other local revenue.
So it's all online. It's not a physical.
The first of it is online. I believe there is.
The July 13th.
Correct.
In person.
Yeah, we'll be in person at their 5th Street Avenue. Yep, correct.
So I'm sorry, I thought it was the exact opposite. So July 13th is online, or July 13th is when it's?
Both say prime time, don't they?
Correct, yeah, and Primetime again has, and again, that 5th Avenue, that's that little piece that they still have over there by the Maverick.
Okay,
They have,
I see it now.
I think they
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
place over in the mall for the time being.
Yep.
But again, they're trying to push most of it online. That'll be where most people will be able to see and to bid.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. Is there a motion to?
Hereby move that the board grant permission to hold the
Oh,
surplus property auction as presented.
is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next, we would like to turn the time over to Superintendent Howell for board calendar information.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So for tonight, of course, our executive session prior to this meeting and then tonight's regular meeting. tomorrow, we have the PV Tech owner, architect, and contractor. So that's OAC. And that will be Mr. Facer and Mr. Knopf. And we'll just review the updates with our construction and architect team. Then tomorrow evening, as already been mentioned, HHS Rebuild Design Committee. That will be here in the boardroom. And then we don't have it listed yet, but I think Ms. Johnson sent out an invite earlier today that if we could grab you for a little bit of time on Thursday. It is short notice, probably up to 2 or 3 items. I think we had a start time proposed at 12, but I think we could probably do 12:30.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay.
So I haven't set the schedule yet. I did send out an email and requested you to review that and let me know of your availability.
And that's a week from,
That's
No,
tomorrow.
oh, this
Thursday.
That's
This
what, the short
Thursday.
notice part of that, Madam
Okay.
Chair, sorry.
Yes.
And
that's-
so that would be election of officers. I was thinking we could also review the documents for the board, the code of ethics, the operating protocols, and just get a signature from Ms. Furness. And, yeah, so we'll
Okay.
make that complete again based upon the new board makeup as of
Okay.
this evening.
So I'm just looking at the email, to what time, sorry,
Probably
Time?
12:30.
oh, okay.
For an open meeting, and then at 1 o'clock, you've been invited to the Arches graduation. I know the 4 of you, I believe, had the opportunity to visit Arches program last week and have some lunch even
Yeah.
with the learners, probably that they helped prepare. And so tomorrow, some of their graduates would be recognized. And so, yeah.
Tomorrow?
Sorry, Thursday.
Thursday.
Oh, Ms.
Thursday.
Pacey. Sorry
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
that. Yeah, and then at 1:30,
1:30.
we would have some time set aside to visit about labor contract negotiations and give you a first blush on that tonight. And last week, Mr. Balls reviewed the budget with you, so then we would talk about how we proceed into negotiations. And that would be an executive session on Thursday at 1:30. And so, check your availability, that's all just proposed right now, and then we'll confirm with you, and if we need to make some changes, we will, possibly, later, well, that'll be Thursday. So it would be into next Tuesday or thereafter.
So I'm assuming that the graduation is here.
Yes,
'Cause
here in
I'm
the boardroom at 1 o'clock.
Trying to think.
Oh, okay.
You bet. Yeah, so it'll all be right
Like,
here.
how could we make that happen?
Mhm.
Okay, that's
Okay,
great. As far as I can see, we can let you know.
I'll check. I know
Okay.
I have some school visits, but if necessary, we
okay,
might
maybe
have to cancel.
Mr. Watson could help move those around and balance your schedule to
Well-
accommodate some of this.
Yeah.
You bet.
Okay.
We'll give this priority.
It might be.
Okay. We have key communicators listed here for May and June, but we do not hold those during the summer months. And so we'll pick those up again in September, so we don't need you to RSVP on those this time. Placeholder for student discipline hearings next Wednesday. I think we may have one. Do we have one, or are we okay?
We have one.
I think we have one too. That's what I recall. So, yeah, we'll, now we have a 5th member. I know your calendars are gonna get tight and start to fill up for summer, but as long as we have 4 for this meeting, that's what can get us started. But if all 5 of you can be in attendance, that's wonderful. But again, just allowing you a little bit of flexibility with your summer schedules. Okay, and then, here we go into graduations. So Thursday will be New Horizon graduation at the Wellness Complex. I took the liberty of making you not a very professional map, but for Ms. Furness and for Mr. Knopf, it'll get you there. And so the other board members have been there before, and you know the routine. And so the first evening with New Horizon, if you'll just arrive a little bit early, you can park in that west parking lot and just come up on the stage, and we'll get you seated and ready to go. And then for the all-day event on Friday, we'll have you arrive probably at about 11:30 a.m. And then you can see the schedule here at Century at noon, Pocatello High School at 3, and then Highland at 6. And then we will have some, provide you some lunch and snacks to get you through that day. I think last time we were in Holt Arena, it was under construction, and we were in a little, not even a tent. I think we had some curtains for a little bit of privacy.
Fenced-off area.
But we should be back in the Benyon room.
It was really comfortable.
Yeah, back to the Benyon room and maybe a little more room to spread out, a little more comfort.
Oh, that's nice. I
that
had-
way.
So that
Yeah.
vacant room, tell them where the vacant room is.
Oh, right. So it's on the north side, and as you enter, it'll just be directly on the right.
Oh,
Upstairs.
near the ramp?
It's just
Yeah,
before
so
the
come
ramp.
this way of the ramp.
Go, yeah, so it's a little bit,
It's just the first room before
a
the.
little bit east of the ramp.
Yes.
Yes.
Right there in that corner.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 doors to get in there, and then you'll see the big, like, carpeted tiger on the wall. But
Yeah,
we'll be
yeah.
around. We'll get to,
Okay.
Ms. Johnson and I will be there early, and Mrs. Pettit, and we'll get you directed. Yeah, so.
Is there a weather contingency plan for New Horizons?
Nope, they bring umbrellas.
Dress warmly.
You'll be covered.
I was gonna
Yes,
say,
dress
dress
warm.
warmly.
As soon as the sun starts to dip, then it'll get a little cooler,
We need
so.
those black
So
lights. I
what
do
time
have
is it
some
again?
6 PM.
Oh, okay, well, the sun will be up till 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
Still cold.
Yeah, and it is
Speaking
a-
from experience.
Speaking
It's gonna
from
be 85
experience.
degrees.
Well, it could be windy. This is Pocatello, you know, yeah.
And last year, we were at the wellness complex for the other 3 graduations, and so
It was
it
beautiful.
started out cool, warmed up during the day, and then cool by the evening, so we were all over the place last year. Luckily, we'll be in more.
It was a beautiful
And
day for.
sunscreen, right? Yeah, that was a
People got
sunscreen day.
sunburned
Right.
last year. Yes, they did.
Okay. And then June 5th takes us out to another PV Tech meeting and regular board meeting on the 18th. Possibly some special meetings in between, depending on the progress of the Highland project and updating the board as we go along. And then, again, remove the key communicators network. And that pretty much takes care of the calendar for the most part. And hopefully it'll lighten up for you all, because we've had you away from your friends and family for quite a while here lately. Last year, you'll recall, we were just working so diligently to get Highland students placed and situated and cleaned, and so we had a lot of meetings even last summer, so it'd be nice to lighten the load a little bit this year.
On the, I guess we didn't have this on the, we did have the Highland update, but I guess we had talked about, a little bit about maybe the fixing the kitchen situation and, for next year, to improve that. But I'm not saying we need to talk about that right now. I was just kind of wondering.
Is it still on our radar?
Is it
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of being looked into and, and mostly, they needed place for storing things, right? And they needed the space for the kitchen, for the buses, the food trucks to be able to drop everything off, and so that they have refrigerators and spaces, a kitchen.
Yeah, we,
That's
about
what they need. They need a
weeks
kitchen.
ago, 2.5 weeks ago,
And
the
heat, yes.
insurers were here from basically the primary and secondary group. Seth, who has been our primary contact through all of this, we walked that site, and
Oh,
took them
great.
through the kitchen prep area and commented how difficult and challenging it was. And with the food service trucks getting even to Highland, especially during the winter months, so we're problem solving right now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I would hope that we don't leave it up to them. I'd rather, come
No,
up with
we
the
will
best
initiate
solution
whatever
that we want
yeah.
and present it to them.
We will make some proposals along the way as we
Okay.
figure it out.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the goal is for the summer to work it out, right? So that it will be ready for
Hopefully
for the
better.
school year?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
improve best we can.
Because it would be so nice.
Mhm.
Especially since we want to make sure that it's very clear, it's 100% paid for by the insurance. We are not paying for any of this.
And we had
But-
asked them for any suggestions they might have from anything that happened, similar to our situation.
I see, wonderful, great, thank you. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I had forgotten to ask that.
That's okay. So, last item for me would be any potential resolutions that the board would like to submit to ISBA. ISBA, as a reminder for the School Boards Association, they have what they call a GAC, which is Government Affairs. You know how we just make an abbreviation or an acronym out of everything in education. I wish there was a dictionary. We should have prepared one by now. We've not done that, but it would help you problem solve all these acronyms and so forth. But the Government Affairs Committee basically review all of those, and then they prioritize them. And then, as you know, in November, when we go to a convention, they'll usually pick their top 10 or 12 and then present them. And so they may receive 40, 50, I don't even know the number, but they try to narrow it down so we're not overwhelming the legislators with too many requests and just focus in on a few. But we could certainly take some. I prepared one that I sent to the board, not prepared, but made a suggestion that maybe to have some flexibility with career technical education dollars, that we might be able to hire some instructors with that, knowing that we are looking at some reductions here of positions within our own district. So we have this beautiful building, and we want to be able to not only showcase that, but to have the talent and expertise in our instructors to offer those programs. And so that's one that I came up with. Another one that had been thought of, just two really, you know, in other state and city governmental agencies, there is compensation for those folks that serve. And so just as a thought, one being, I think this was mentioned along the way. And so I don't know if that's something that interests you. I could take whatever ideas we come up with tonight and work with Amy White to prepare it in the resolution format with the wherefores and therefores and be it resolved kind of language. And so anything that you have that I could take, that you could give me direction, I could work to prepare some draft documents and bring them back. The other one, Ms. Clark had mentioned this one previously, and just to give a little bit of more flexibility to certified staff. So presently, board member spouses can only serve in a district that is less than 1,500 students. And so could that be looked at to be expanded from the 1,500? You know, I don't know to the extent, but our district is, you know, just shy of 12,000. If there's a number that you'd like to put on it, or just ask that, you know, that be considered by the legislature. So those are the three that I thought of, and didn't know if you had others that you'd like to share or comment on any of those, please.
You know, just so I can clarify. So when I first became a member of the board, my husband's a teacher. Would love to be able to come and work in our district. Doesn't allow, of course, now he's on the road to retirement, so it doesn't really apply. But I did think, given the nature of needing teachers, completely understand the limitation of a board member being over an administrator. And so a spouse, that obviously creates a conflict, but further down in needing teachers, I thought that was something that ought to be and could be relooked at. As far as the compensation issue, it did come up. I was at a meeting with some of our legislatures, and one of them even asked me, and I said, no, at least as far as I'm aware, I don't know if it's a state statute or, and he also was quite surprised because city council, you know, our commissioners all receive, I mean, whether it be a stipend, but at least we're eligible for PERSI or health benefits. And I think one of the things, although as seen yesterday, we didn't have a shortage of candidates wanting the position, but I think some districts struggle to recruit people. And if there were ways, my father in Pennsylvania, you know, nothing significant, but at least there was something that compensated for the amount of time and effort in this volunteer role. So it's not, I'm not looking for a second-time job necessarily, but I do think some recognition for the significant amount of time that we put in, I don't think is realized. So I don't know, you know, it just was something that had come up, and even one of our legislators was quite surprised that this was a truly fully volunteer position.
I am having ISBA look into when that statute kind of like came into effect and what the rationale
why.
behind that was.
Yeah.
And just preliminarily looked, and we're one of 13 states in the United States that don't offer any
don't.
compensation.
Yeah.
But almost all other states do, so.
Anyway, there was a legislature who I spoke with who would be interested in pursuing it if it, if it got brought forward. So, anyway.
Okay, so,
As far as that goes, I guess I'll weigh in. It'd be nice to at least have my gas paid for. I mean, it costs us quite a bit of money, actual money, to do this, but, I mean, I'm fine either way, but I am fine with looking into it.
okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
great, okay. Yeah, and we could just ask them to explore the avenues of possibility.
And were you?
Open discussion, really.
Were you wanting to entertain the idea, it's okay if you're not, about, as far as funding for the PV Tech, for any technical education, maybe widening the ability, extending the ability to use some of the advanced opportunity funding, if they do not choose to use it for other advanced opportunity, if they would be able to then possibly use it for that, because that just goes unclaimed for, the PV Tech students, but it is future training, it's just not the same.
And I appreciate your reminder, and Ms. Bennett, will you come up? And she and I had talked a little bit about that after you had suggested that.
Because it's a
and-
fund that's already there.
Yeah,
And
and
it might
I-
just be easier,
So it comes back to FAPE, another one for you, acronym, yes, Free and Appropriate Public Education. And so, the district was part of the lawsuit from the Jokey legal matter, primarily revolving around kindergarten and extracurricular, because districts were charging for those. And so anything within the school day, and I'm going to let you pick it up from here, if you
So
would.
anything within the school day, you can't charge for. So we couldn't charge for our CTE courses.
But you couldn't ask for reimbursement from the
Nope.
state? Okay, so
Nope,
it's
not
kind of
from
the same
advanced
thing.
not the way advanced opportunities is written right now.
Right, that's what I was wondering,
Oh.
if we could ask for maybe an addition, what do you call those?
Amendment
Amendment to that law stating that it could be used for
or revision, yeah.
Maybe.
Because, currently I know you can do that.
Yeah, we can't, like I said, we can't charge for those classes because of
Right.
free appropriate public education. So it's advanced opportunities is for above and beyond a full schedule or for dual credit classes. So our kids, most of our CTE courses are dual credit. To get their college credit, the kids can use their advanced opportunities, but it can't be used to pay for our part of the classes.
Right, and it can't be used to pay for any of the certifications they get through the CTE program either.
Some of it for the testing for it, it can be paid for.
The testing, just the testing.
Correct.
But I guess I'm wondering if we should explore the possibility of making an amendment to that law so that, just stating that districts can ask for reimbursement, from that fund.
I think you're gonna get in trouble with FAPE for that.
Unless
Truthfully,
it was offered outside of the school day.
if it's offered
like a-
outside of the school day or for dual credit, that's
Yeah,
what advanced
0 hour
opportunities.
or-
Mhm.
What
Okay.
happens to those
Yeah.
funds anyway? Do they just roll over to next year, or
They're
is it
just
a
So
use it or lose it?
the students are set aside a certain amount, and if they use it, great, and if they don't use it, it just stays in the state's AO funding.
Gotcha.
And is it 5,000 or 5,500?
They just bumped it up.
They just bumped it up. It was
Another-
41.25, and
It was 500.
yeah, I would say, I think they bumped it to 46.25.
Oh,
Wow.
So, and we have several kids that get very close to spending all of that.
and I wouldn't
Depending on-
want to limit anybody.
Correct.
I just thought, maybe to access that for the ones that aren't using it, but.
And yeah, right now with free appropriate public education, they won't let us use.
Oh, well, that's
that.
good to know.
So, we might be better off asking our legislators to say, you know, how much money is left in the pot at the end of each year? Could you designate that to cover CTE?
Above and beyond costs.
Well,
for
no,
those
but to
classes.
cover CTE staff members.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
you know,
that's a
if
good
they're
idea.
budgeting, I'm gonna make up numbers, if they're budgeting $10 million a year and only $7 million is used year after year after year after year after year,
Mhm.
there's $3 million sitting there.
Mhm.
Could
So
they
that's
look at
another way to
redesignating
go
some of
about
that?
it, but it would be nice to be able to use a fund that's already kind of
Yeah, but
there.
it's for above and beyond what
Mhm.
school is.
So it'd have to just be a separate piece of legislation.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Well, thank
Let us do a little more research on that one too, and we'll contact Quinn or Misty and just get their feeling
Mhm.
for that. Yeah, I mean, we're there in the State House every day during this session.
Mhm.
They'll have a better feel perhaps on
Mhm.
what those monies look like. And I know the budget from the state has increased every year.
The usage of AO funding has increased
Yeah.
significantly every year,
And
here and everywhere.
So they
I bet.
historically have enhanced it every year since its inception.
Mhm.
And then with the launch program this past year and the $50 million being set aside for that, I think they may feel like they've already spent
Mhm.
their allotment but it's worth an ask
Mhm.
about that.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
we-
well, thank
that.
you.
Okay. Yeah, now you know that when all of these are approved, then you, four of the five of you will need to present them at conference when we go.
Give me something to
Got it.
read.
But, yeah, we'll help you with that too. Okay, that's it for me, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other items of business? If there is not, is there a motion to adjourn?
I hereby move that the board adjourn.
Is there a second? I mean, any, oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Any discussion?
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?